With so much going on in the news and on Capitol Hill this week, we haven't even talked much about the major topic of whether President Biden will cancel some student loan debt. The White House has teased that he'll make a decision sometime soon, and it looks like about $10,000 of cancellation could be in the cards, even though progressives want full forgiveness. But a lot of people feel any student loan forgiveness is just unfair to taxpayers who chose not to pursue higher education. Young Voices contributor Sean Themea is up late with us tonight to break it all down.
All right, Sean Themea joining me now. Look, a lot of people here think that forgiving student loans is unfair. Those who have already paid theirs off. Some people, say, I shouldn't have to foot someone else's bill. Then there's a lot of people who actually support loan forgiveness for student loans. So if policymakers do decide to cancel student loans, what are we looking at realistically?
Realistically, we're looking at nothing more than robbing from Peter to pay Paul, and it's doing nothing to actually reduce the cost of higher education. So what we're looking at. We're looking at blue-collar Americans being forced to bail out, the elites who went to Harvard and Yale and took on a bunch of debt who can pay it back because they're making more, and bailing out people with gender studies degrees and degrees in underwater basket weaving. So canceling student loans is not going to do anything to reduce the cost of higher education. It's just going to divide Americans against each other.
Another question for some people would be, what does the college of the future look like? How does, these student loan forgiveness plans affect college down the road? So you wrote an op-ed that was actually focused on that. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you shared in that?
Absolutely. Well, definitely the observation that canceling debt is not going to solve the root of the problem. The root of the problem is the higher education cartel, what I like to call this holy union or unholy union rather, Sallie Mae of the federal government, of the banks, of university administrators, who are the ones who are benefiting off of these endless bloated federal guaranteed student loans. What the effect of this program does is drive up the price of college out of reasonability. People can't afford to go unless they take on these massive loans, and creates this never-ending cycle where college is unaffordable, and the only way you can pay it is to drown in debt or to make absolutely huge sacrifices in preparing to go to school. So rather than cancel student loan debt altogether, you can do a couple of things. You can knock interest off of the payback on these loans. You can make it harder for the money to be lent out in the first place if universities were on the hook. You can make it easier for people to declare bankruptcy on their student loans. It's one of the few kinds of loans you can't declare bankruptcy on. So make it harder for the lenders to get out of that. But we're really not going to solve anything, in my opinion, until you get to the right of the problem, the root of the problem, and you cut the guaranteed federal student loan program altogether until the prices can reset and we can have some market responsibility in the price of college.
Yeah. You mentioned, this higher education cartel. Do you think that forgiving student loan debt does anything to impact colleges? I mean, you talk a lot about how these institutions really are jacking up the price of an education, especially year after year. What was 10, 20 years ago, the price to go to college versus now is exponentially greater. So will this make any difference on that front when it comes to, as you mentioned, this higher education cartel that's running all of this?
If the only thing that is done is canceling student loans, and right now Biden's considering up to $10,000, which for a lot of people isn't that much in the first place. So he's already pleasing nobody. But the impact it would send a signal to college administrators and to the banks and to the federal government that, hey, we can get away with this broken system because the debts will just be paid off and we can keep perpetuating this problem that benefits a select few but doesn't make college affordable. We need to focus on making college affordable. And the only way to do that, or the best way to do that, is to get right to the heart of the problem and to cut this student loan program until we can figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah, this conversation of deferring student loan, forgiving student loan debt has been going on for quite some time now. And it seems like nothing has really ever come to fruition for any of this. So what are some of these long-term solutions you're really suggesting here, and maybe a broader spectrum of things that really need to be looked at as a whole here?
Absolutely. Well, we can never let the student loan program get that big ever again. We've got 92% of all student loans are federally guaranteed, right? That's a problem. Again, there's several things that you can do right off the bat if you're not going to cut the student loan program altogether. You can make it so people don't have to pay interest on these student loans. You got people who take out $50,000 worth of student loans and they are paying it back. They paid 40 grand back, but they still owe another 40 grand. That's not fair, right? We need to make college affordable, not have it be this endless cycle. You can have colleges be on the hook for their programs. Again, if the University of Michigan, for example, wanted to offer a degree in underwater basket weaving and all of their graduates are drowning in debt, they're not getting jobs. If the University of Michigan was forced to pay back a certain salary to them over a period of 10 years, maybe they'd be less likely to offer the useless degree or give out the loans so willy-nilly. And again, I don't think that you truly get to solving this as fast as we need to until we just cut off the program, at least temporarily. So the colleges are going to have to trim the fat and get down to business and say, this is actually the value of our degree. We can make this affordable for the average working American family now without taking on this huge burden of loans. And the people who it's going to hurt the most are not disadvantaged folks, because they'll actually be able to have a shot at paying the bill now. It's going to hurt the bankers. It's going to hurt these administrators. It's going to hurt the right people. And I think we need to deliver that message boldly.
All right. Sean, Themea, thank you so much for spending